As a survivor of child rape, enslavement, and torture, I was ready to die and leave this planet as a result of the horrific crimes that I was carrying within my body. I was able to report these crimes in Baltimore County after attempting to report these crimes and really, again, ready to die in Florida. I reported the crimes to the sheriffs, to Broward County, to St. Johns County, to every police officer I came into contact with in Florida, and they all either laughed at me, pushed me, hurt me, handcuffed me. I mean, it was a nightmare. And this was because these are old crimes. These are crimes that were committed against my body that caused not only trigeminal neuralgia, because most of these rapes were forcible oral rapes. My police officer, my SVU detective, who I did end up with in Baltimore County, ended up calling me the John Walsh or Walter Boy rape, because that was Paul Belt's MO, is he would place me on my knees, grab me by my head, and then just force me violently and harshly. And if I had a stuffy nose, which I do because I have allergies, it felt like I was being raped and tortured, and that I was going to die at any moment because I can't breathe. And so, as a person who has PTSD, I wake up every morning with Paul Belt's I'm being raped by him, and that's just how my PTSD works. It never leaves your body completely. I'm able to talk about the crimes, though, because of this wonderful cop named Mo Greenberg, and he's an earth angel. Anybody who walks around the earth and helps to save the lives of human beings like me is an earth angel. I couldn't do what I do, which is I work as a trauma therapist, and I work with rape victims and PTSD victims and CPTSD victims and anybody who has been tortured, enslaved, raped, the underdog, anybody who's carrying pain in their body. That's who I work with, and I help you heal. So he kept me on this planet in order to do my job, and I'm grateful to him for that. So anyway, this is what it's like to go into a rape room. I had to fly to Maryland to talk to this SVU detective about my crimes, because nobody in Florida, including the FBI, would listen to me. And so for 3 hours, I sat down in these little kid chairs in Baltimore County, Maryland. And it was like I was first grade room mom for my youngest child. So it was like that. It was like kindergarten. And you sat in these small chairs, and he sat in a small chair across from me. And I had to be able to talk about the crimes that occurred in Maryland. And since there were hundreds of rapes that happened to me over this course of 3 years, where my mother enslaved me and my stepfather enslaved me, Carol Belt, Ralph Belt gave me to Paul Belt to be raped daily, sometimes twice a day. And when those crimes happened to me, I developed trigeminal neuralgia. I had to have a total jaw reconstruction because he broke my jaw. He was very sadistic and violent rapist. But that doesn't really matter, because even when he wasn't, these were still horrific crimes that my body was keeping the score of no matter what. So much so that I need to have a total jaw reconstruction. And my trigeminal neuralgia is something that I still live with. It's the suicide condition. And it's something that I'm aware of every single day, that if it comes back to the degree that I want to die, I will. So Paul Belt is, ultimately not only caused so many horrific things that happened to me in my life, but the only way that I could get to a place where I could hold some accountability was talking to Mo Greenberg in Baltimore County. And so we went in there, and I was able to recount all of the oral and vaginal rapes that happened to me. And, I was able to do that by, just like I'm a psychic, people who have a great deal of trauma are really good at tapping into their extrasensory skills or our other abilities to bring in information. And so I was able to remember, like, the color of his pants uniform, the feel of the Velcro on the side of my cheek if he had a bathing suit on, the smell, the taste of when he would rape me, and whatever, it could be anything disgusting would end up in my mouth. So, the smells, tastes, the feelings, the feeling of the fabrics, all of these things came into to help me quantify the times that I was raped because it was there were so many of them. And then the words that he said, he wanted very specific details. Because Paul didn't talk to me very much as a human being. I was just a thing or a hole or something to be sadistically abused, fucked in the mouth, harmed, and pushed away. And so every rape it felt like death. And so he wanted the details of what it felt like. And since I was so capable of doing all of that, he was able to get that information and open up an SVU case against Paul Belt, who still works at Northrop Grumman. And so, but the key for me to heal was to be able to have somebody like Mo Greenberg, even if it's in this horrific place where there's like little kids and was fecal matter in the bathroom. There was a human pile of shit that someone had left when you walk up this little stool for kids to wash their hands. Somebody had shit on a paper towel and put it on the sink. And so what I did is I did what any mother, I had to take a bathroom break in between my 3-hour rape crime discussion with my cop, and when I went in there, there's human shit there, and so I just literally picked it up, flushed it, even though it had a paper towel, and went and asked for some Lysol wipes. I just clean up shit. That's what I do. I'm surprised that more cops don't do the same thing. So what I'm saying to you is, if you have old crimes, my crimes were old. I was young. I was a girl, and I held them in my body for 30 plus years. It's never too late to tell the truth. It's never too late to seek justice. Every single police officer who's listening to this, instead of pulling over and killing Black people, why don't you just dig deep and realize that rape, incest, sexual violence, child sex abuse is something that needs to be prioritized, more important than any of your other things that you can do. We don't rape and murder what we proclaim to love, and we don't rape children. And that's really what should be prioritized for everyone. So I look at SVU and I look at cops in general and I say, why don't people, women, men, transgender folks, because they get raped on the scale, I mean, it's such an underreported crime. What I'm saying is, if we can go up to every police officer and just start to say, this is what happened to me in college. I was sexually assaulted. This is what my ex-husband did to me when he sexually assaulted me. This is what happened to me when I was raped and tortured and enslaved as a young girl. This is what happened to me when I was assaulted. Anytime. What I'm saying is you just start to talk and tell the truth about what happened to your body and the crimes committed against it, it is going to open up the eyes of the police and give them the authority now to do something about it, so that we can shift. When you have desire, you can shift desire into thoughts, into words, into actions, and you can change and shift a culture. And so by telling the truth, you too can end up in a rape room. And I promise you, as gross and as underfunded these places are, it's a blessing that they exist, because that is where you start to get the healing done. And if every single rape victim can tell their story to a cop, it's that much closer to getting the healing done. It's that much closer to ending this horrific epidemic of sexual violence in this country. So start talking today and tell your truth.